you think you could knock him out in the first
Of
round?
course, man.
Yeah.
Look this. Touch this.
You're strong, mate.
Man, I'm strong like a rock.
I wasn't afraid of him, and Filip wouldn't be afraid of him if he fought him anyway.
But I'm a stronger guy and I'm gonna throw him out of the ring.
The heavyweight division rarely runs short on bold declarations, but this one landed with unusual force. Filip Hrgović didn't hedge and does not intend to play it safe either. He came out and staked his reputation on a first-round finish, putting Moses Itauma on notice before a single punch had been thrown between them.
Your manager Keith Connolly there said about a first-round knockout. Do you think you could knock him out in the first round?
Of course, man.
Yeah.
Look this. Touch this.
You're strong, mate.
Man, I'm strong like a rock. I can knock out a horse.
Yeah.
He knows conviction alone won't decide a fight, execution will, and he's willing to break from his old pace. He's rebuilding that instinct, conditioning himself to come out with urgency from the opening bell instead of settling into his usual rhythm. That shift in tempo comes paired with a shift in mindset.
Of course I believe, and he start fast, you know, don't start fast. I'm slow starter, but this fight I will start fast. I must train to start fast, and I wanna get into the fight with him. I don't wanna box too much with him. I wanna get into the fight and see how tough he is.
That confidence isn't something Hrgović treats as a recent development. He frames it as the product of years spent building the kind of mental toughness that doesn't waver under bright lights. He points to his own composure as proof, the way he's carried himself through setbacks and scrutiny without losing his footing, both between the ropes and away from them.
On edge.
Of course, it's all about your mentality, and your lifestyle gives you your mentality, so yes, of course it's important, and it gives me belief in myself, and that was always my power, my lifestyle, my character, my discipline, my courage, will. I had a lot of wins, not only in ring but outside of the ring. Nothing could stop me. Look, Tony Yoka disappeared, Ivan Dichko disappeared, Joe Joyce disappeared. This guy didn't disappear. This guy is tough.
Brilliant.
So I learned a lot. I fought inside and outside of the ring, and it's not for no reason that I'm here in top of the division. That's for a reason.
He's fully aware that the broader boxing world has largely counted him out, with nearly all the spotlight and buzz gravitating toward his younger opponent instead. Rather than resent that dynamic, he's choosing to treat it as fuel, a chance to flip the narrative on everyone who's dismissed his chances and put himself firmly back on track toward a world title.
I think I'm the biggest test for him, and I think I'll give him some. With me in the ring, he'll feel something that he never felt before, and I believe in myself that I can beat him, and I know whole world write me off. It's like you said, all about him, and that's the way it is. This is my chance to prove everyone wrong and to beat this guy and to become world champion.
To make that underdog framing land, Hrgović reaches for something bigger than boxing entirely. It's a comparison rooted in personal belief, the idea that being written off isn't a death sentence, it's simply the setup for the upset everyone will remember.
In semifinals, so we were underdogs, big underdogs, but we kicked their ass, so it's gonna happen again with Moses Itauma and myself.
Very good. Here's Simon Philip.
I mean, Philip, obviously this is an interesting fight for lots of people because a lot of the noise will be made about Moses.
That underdog mentality isn't just talk for him, it's grounded in how he's processed the rough patches of his career. Rather than letting past losses define him or chip away at his belief, treating them as raw material for growth, dissecting what went wrong and making sure those same errors don't resurface. It's a mindset built on accountability rather than excuse-making.
I think it made me, stronger, better fighter. It was, big trouble for me I needed a lot of time to recover from that, but on the end it makes you stronger. You see the mistakes what you did in a process, and you don't repeat them. And every failure, if you don't give up, make you stronger in the future.
Where Hrgović leans into aggression, Itauma answers with something closer to calm calculation. He treats every opponent as a problem to be worked out, a series of patterns and tendencies waiting to be decoded. He doesn't shy away from acknowledging what Hrgović represents, a resume built on real accomplishment. But that respect doesn't translate into doubt.
Yeah.
Did you say fear?
Not a word that's even in your vocabulary.
No, I'm shocked that you said it. Listen, I think boxing is, for me, it's a puzzle. And with the right preparation, I don't feel like there's a puzzle that I can't solve. So I wouldn't say that I necessarily fear anyone. It's just there are fights out there that might be easier than others.
That same measured outlook carries into how he explains why this fight even makes sense in the first place. That he treats it plainly as a job to be done rather than a personal crusade. There's no illusion here about chasing spectacle for its own sake. He sees this as a practical opportunity to measure himself against genuine world-class opposition.
It's just my job, Simon. It's I just got to fight the people that are above me. I've got to fight the people that I can. Obviously, Hrgović is under Frank Warren and contractually was able to fight me, so he was an available opponent. And out of the 4 or 5 names that I had, I thought Filip Hrgović was the best opponent out of all of them, and I said, let's make that fight happen. And obviously, because he's actually signed to Queensberry, Frank Warren, it was like, yeah, man, let's do it. Because other fights, there could have been other fights that are different.
Beyond the strategic framing, he is quick to give credit where it's due when sizing up what he's actually walking into. Hrgović sits firmly among the division's genuine top-tier veterans, facing plenty of tough fighters inside the ring. That's precisely why this fight matters to him the way it does, as a real opportunity to measure his own progress.
He's got a win over Zhilei Zhang, Joe Joyce, David Adley, Dave Allen. He had a good fight with Daniel Dubois, which only got stopped off a cut. Had he not have had a cut, the fight could have been different, because I had him up on the scorecards personally. Olympic silver medalist, that was bronze medalist, come on. Like, the guy has achieved a lot. So I guess the good thing in boxing is I can claim them achievement, if that makes sense.
Not everyone watching this build-up shares the same confidence, and Derek Chisora is among those sounding a note of caution. He notes Itauma has yet to be pushed past the midpoint of a fight, let alone forced to dig deep in the rounds, and untested distance is a different animal from untested power. Sudden jump leaves little room for error.
Hrgović.
Listen, how many fights has Moses had? I don't know if I paid
14 fights.
Has he done 10 rounders? He's never been to the other side.
Well, he must have done, because there's more than...
No, he's been in 10 rounds, not done 10 rounds.
He's never done 10 rounds.
So I think the furthest he's been 6 rounds.
6 rounds, yeah. So listen, if I was a betting man, I don't know. I love Moses. I believe that, when you have people pushing you so much, thinking like you can beat anybody in the world, you believe in yourself. Yeah. And I think this is a big step up for him,
That uncertainty comes down to something no amount of promise or potential can settle in advance. The factor of a fighter responding the first time real adversity lands remains unknown until it actually happens. For all the buzz Itauma has generated, he simply hasn't been forced to absorb a genuine shot from someone operating at the top of the division.
If they didn't think he was ready. I know that we've been saying, if he keeps on doing what he's doing, because the question always abounds, Derek, that he hasn't taken one on the whiskers. And until that question is asked and answered, we're not going to know whether he can deal with that.
Listen, I love Itauma. I love Moses. I like Hrgović. This is a step. This is a good fight for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he wins.
He's going to win. He's going to win.
Moses is going to win. Yeah.
He's going to win. Yeah. But how is he going to win? That's what we want to know. He's going to win by a knockout. He's going to go to 12 rounds. We don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody's disputing that Hrgović belongs in the conversation among the division's legitimate best, but settling for safer options means never finding out where Itauma's ceiling actually sits, so the gamble gets justified on those terms. Still, there's an honest acknowledgement sitting underneath that reasoning. throwing and still developing talent into deep water early carries real consequences if the jump proves premature.
At the moment, this could be one of them fights. I don't think it will, but it could be one of them fights because I think Hrgović is the real deal. He is a top-class, solid fighter.
I think Frank and George, you know, it's a calculated gamble, and they're great at doing that and making the right move at the right time. But it is a huge risk because we don't know. Yeah, Moses on the surface looks great. He looks great, but once you go through that, once you get through that and you get into the physicalities of a fight, like you know, the late on in the rounds, like Derek Chisora comes alive in the sixth. He gets better and stronger.
Why do you think, Spence, they need to take a calculated gamble? Because
he's number 2 in the world.
The trainers weigh in with their own read on the matchup, and Sanchez doesn't shy away from the comparison when discussing Itauma's potential, but acknowledging the danger isn't the same as backing away from it. Whatever concern the comparison might stir in others, it doesn't translate into hesitation in his own corner. Hrgović isn't the type to sidestep any challenge.
Hrgović Itauma.
I think that's the toughest fight for everybody in the division right now. He's a young up-and-coming. He hasn't fought anybody really in the top 10, but he looks destructive against the guys that he fights. Hasn't been signed, so until that gets signed, you know, there's no really any reason to predict what would happen or what might happen. Until that gets signed, we'll figure that out.
You've been impressed by Moses so far?
Well, absolutely. He's a young Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was doing the same thing when he came up until he met somebody that wasn't afraid of him, and Filip wouldn't be afraid of him if he fought him anyway.
Turning to how the broader boxing world views this test, Gareth sees real value in throwing Itauma into deep water at this exact point in his career. He calls it exactly the kind of measuring stick opponent a rising talent needs before chasing a world title later this year, framing it as the natural next gate to pass through rather than a detour. In his view, the careful matchmaking and protective handling have run their course.
Yeah, it's a really good matchup. I mean, I'm on record of saying I think Moses Itauma, even though people might not agree with me, beats everyone in the division, maybe apart from Alexander Usyk right now. I think would old man him and beat him on points based on his skills and experience and the fact he's also a southpaw, a southie, so a lefty. So I think Hrgović is a brilliant test for Moses Itauma. He's going to have to work the guy out. I think he gets to him. I think it's going to be a terrific fight. As you say, if that cut is fine, then they get to action.
Frank Warren and Gareth Davies framed the significance of this moment before diving into the specifics of what makes it matter. Being just in his 20s, Itauma is being handed a genuine top 10 heavyweight test rather than another stepping stone opponent, and both agree that facing someone with Hrgovic's proven pedigree marks the real threshold moment, the point where potential stops being theoretical and Itauma officially arrives on boxing's biggest stage.
At the kind of right level for Moses now. He's put Jermaine Franklin away, couldn't be stopped by Anthony Joshua or Dillian White. He puts Dillian White away a year ago in Saudi Arabia. This is a test of a guy who's ranked number 9 in the world by BoxRec, number 5 by Ring Magazine, and Moses number 14 in the world with BoxRec. So it's a genuine top 10 heavyweight fight, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's more than that. You know, this is a fight where. See, I don't quite agree with what you said about Moses. Moses has stepped up every time. He's only 21.
He breaks down how the actual tactical picture might unfold once the bell rings. He sets up a clear contrast in styles, raw aggression on one side against a more calculated, problem-solving mentality on the other, with Itauma and his camp reportedly building their game plan around reading and dismantling Hrgovic's attack rather than matching him blow for blow. The expectation is that patience, composure, and intelligent adjustments over the course of the fight will prove more valuable than chasing an early firefight, allowing Itauma to gradually solve the puzzle and take control as the contest unfolds.
And I know what their tactics are going to be in this fight. You know, Keith Connolly touched on it at the press conference. As soon as that bell goes, they're going to go and try and take him out.
What do you make of the press conference overall? I'm Filip Hrgović. I've been with him all day and around Moses. I've been trying to get under the skin of Moses, saying he's been treated like the golden boy and all these kind of things that he was mentioning at the press conference. But Moses is probably not that because he's very diligent and dedicated and sacrificial to the sport.
Well, you've got to be. That's the only way you do it. Talent gets a certain level, and you've got to have the dedication.
When it comes down to picking a winner, Davies lands on Itauma. He acknowledges this could turn into a kind of explosive, back-and-forth battle, where both men land clean and the outcome stays uncertain deep into the fight. But when the dust settles, he's confident Itauma has the tools to work through whatever problems Hrgović presents and come out on top.
He just has to be a little bit cautious in those opening minute, 2 minute, 3 minutes. Have a little look at Hrgović, but I believe that he will find an answer. And that puzzle that Ben and Lee and everyone will be working on to find the chinks in the Hrgović armour. I think the cuts, I think the problem with the movement may come to haunt Filip
So you're
Hrgović.
picking Moses Itauma there, but Keith Connolly, you mentioned, Conor Benn's lawyer, very prominent at the moment in the rows with Eddie Hearn. Obviously, Filip Hrgovic's manager stroke lawyer in this scenario. Very tough fight for Filip.
However, Ade Oladipo picks up on one of Hrgovic's sharper jabs outside the ring, the suggestion that Itauma's rise has come with an unusually smooth path laid out in front of him. Every opponent placed in front of him to this point has been thoroughly dealt with, no question about that, but Hrgović represents something categorically different, a genuine leap in class that will finally reveal what Itauma is capable of against someone who can actually push back.
Is Moses Itauma of his career being handed to him on a plate? I don't know about that. I'm not quite sure. Like, how many fights has Moses had? And let's just say, I can't be bothered to look, let's just say 13, I believe. In his 13th fight, he's fighting Filip Hrgović. That's not really handed to on a plate. Who did Filip Hrgović fight in his 13th fight? We'll see. Look, you know, when it gets to this type of sort of back and forth, by the way, I wish I was there. I saw that they didn't use anyone for the face-off, which is a shame.
He also pointed out Hrgović himself leans into that gap in experience, painting Itauma as still unproven at this level despite the highlight reel finishes piling up behind him. Impressive as those performances have been, he insists none of them compare to the level of scrutiny and difficulty waiting for Itauma once the bell rings against a genuine veteran. There's a significant difference between dominating carefully selected opposition and proving yourself against a seasoned heavyweight who has already shared the ring with elite competition and knows exactly how to expose even the smallest mistake under real fight night pressure.
I think it's going to be a really good fight. I think this is a test for Itauma. I think Hrgović has a new sense of belief under Abel Sanchez. I think he believes in his cardio a bit more. He's always had the chin. He's always had the boxing ability. The fundamentals are down, right? I mean, he's a very good boxer. He's without doubt a top 10 heavyweight. So he looks at Itauma like, yes, you're good, but A, you're still a kid, and B, you haven't beaten anyone. Whereas I would look at it and say, there's a lot of truth to that, but it's not his fault he hasn't beaten anyone because he's kind of destroyed everyone put in front of him.
That gap in experience points the host towards something worth stating plainly. Sharing the ring with a full-sized heavyweight capable of landing real and fight-changing power is an entirely different challenge than anything Itauma has faced so far, and how he handles it remains completely unknown. Nothing in his run to date has answered that question. This, in the host's eyes, is the fight that finally puts a number on the hype.
I think Itauma does hit hard, but ultimately I think speed kills. And I think Itauma's boxing ability, southpaw, I think is a nightmare. Honestly, I think is a nightmare. But we've all said this. What happens when he gets cracked on the chin? Like, what happens? Can he absorb him? I mean, if he can, then he's Superman, right? Because ultimately, Hrgović is a 250-pound guy. If he hits you, it should hurt. But I'm so intrigued by this matchup, and I think it's almost a how good is Itauma matchup.
Picking up on that same thread, Hrgović doesn't dispute the numbers sitting on Itauma's record. A clean and unblemished run is exactly that. But he draws a hard line between an unbeaten record and a genuinely tested one, pointing out that Itauma has never been put on the canvas or forced to absorb what he'd call a real, fight-altering shot. Until that happens, in his view, the perfect record only tells part of the story.
Until now, his career is perfect. You know, he didn't do any mistakes, so he just beat up everyone. But the reality is that he wasn't in there with a great fighter. He never received a real punch. You know, he never was dropped. And I think, my opinion, that he still is not, you know, tested, and that he needs a good test to see.
Pressed on whether toppling a rising prospect would even carry weight with the doubters, Hrgović brushes the framing aside entirely. He's not interested in managing perception or chasing credit for how a win might be read. His focus stays purely practical. Beating Itauma would be a smart, career-boosting move regardless of how outsiders choose to spin it, and he's simply ready to get in there and make that happen.
will create the big fan base that you need?
Yeah, I just said that win against him, even if he's still young, that win against him would be awesome for my career, and I'm in for that fight, man.
Listen, this is an Olympic bronze medalist we're talking about, a guy with only one loss under circumstances that he mentioned weren't ideal to him, and it was to a fighter who wound up knocking out Anthony Joshua. He's willing to fight anybody in the world, apparently, including Itauma.
Boxing has a way of making its predictions on fight night, and this one already carries the weight of a genuine crossroads moment for both men. Whichever way it breaks, the heavyweight division won't look the same afterward. Drop your prediction in the comments, who's walking away with the bigger statement. And if breakdowns like this are your thing, make sure you're subscribed for everything leading up to fight night.